Hello, and welcome to a Brave Frontier unit overview video. Today we're talking about Chiri, Bjørn, and Linlin, and how they fare as a unit. They came out in December 2017, so they are a fair bit of an older unit at the time of this video's release. They function as a substitute leader for hard content, but the main use is as the best experience lead in the game. But without further ado, let's get right on into what makes Bjørn and Linlin good at what they do. Starting off, we have their leader skill, and the three things to point out here include the 30% Brave gauge cost reduction, allowing you to get your super Brave stuff more often, the 20% chance for Angel Idol effect. While it only works once, it pairs nicely with his ultimate Brave, which we will get into later on, and he has a base 20% boost to experience gained at the end of quests, meaning that you can level up quicker. And this goes into part of what makes him the best experience lead in the game, along with his enhancements and extra skill, which we get into a little bit more later. Up next, we have their extra skill. All three parts are very useful. The 15% boost of parameters for all allies, again affects all allies, and it's just useful in general, no matter what you're going into. The Zealot Karma and item drop rate boost, while it only happens for himself, he is useful if you put on a squad with a different unit as lead, someone like Heishka or Mordred, who actually have the Zealot Karma and item drop rate increase on the leader skill for all allies. And Bjørn and Linlin also have a 5% boost to experience, again bringing him to a total of 25% boost to experience before we get into enhancements. And their Brave Burst is not really worth talking about, honestly. Like, everything about it just kind of falls flat. The Brave Crystal efficacy doesn't work well on bosses that lower Brave Crystal drop rates, so that winds up not being as useful as you might think. The heal on hit is the most useful thing. However, Miel also has this, another Earth unit, and it's more likely to activate on Miel than it is for Bjørn and Linlin. They also have a Side Summit negation, which is easily covered by other units, and removal is more useful than negation, so still not all that useful. They also have a critical, elemental, and spark damage negation, which is neat, but again, not useful when you have other units who can provide mitigation, and just all that stuff as is. They also have a 10% chance for Angel Idol effect, but because that's such a low chance of actually working, it's not really worth going for, to be honest, so Brave Burst is definitely not worth using at all. Next up is Bjørn and Linlin's Super Brave Burst, which there are a few things to talk about here. They do have a Tri-Stat Earth buff, which is very notable, seeing as there's only one 60 cost Earth unit who has this, that being Hanoka and Hisa. So if you don't have Hanoka and Hisa, Bjørn and Linlin can fill in for that, however, not really congruent as Hanoka and Hisa have other useful buffs. They do have a 10% overdrive gauge fill, which is fairly useful for getting your overdrive gauge up for harder content to spam ultimate Brave Bursts. Though you have other units like Osiris, Simban Zakuramiku, Automat, and Elena, who do at least 10% overdrive gauge fill or more, and they also have more utility. So Bjørn and Linlin wind up not being all that great when you look at their Super Brave Burst. It is useful, but there are units who do the same thing and more. Now we have the ultimate Brave Burst, which is where they truly shine. They have an 80% chance for Angel Idol effect for every unit. It's useful for hard content, so you can survive content if you know that an enemy is going to hit you really hard and have a chance of knocking out units. And this pairs up very nicely with units who provide revive should Bjørn and Linlin get knocked out or someone else does. You can just have that 80% chance for Angel Idol. All your units except for one survive, and that one unit who has revive can bring that unit back. They also have a 50% overdrive gauge fill, which again is useful for spamming UBB, so you can use their UBB and just continue using UBBs every other turn basically. And now for something different. Normally when I go over enhancements, I usually talk about one or two enhancements that you kind of want for the unit no matter what. In this case, I'm gonna go over two different kits for Bjørn and Linlin, seeing as there are two different things you can use them for. So the first thing I want to talk about is a kit for Bjørn and Linlin as an experience lead. Now, one thing I want to note is I don't take the boosting attack parameter limits to 130,000, seeing as there are spheres and L-gifts that can substitute that and actually provide a higher parameter boost than what Bjørn and Linlin can provide for themselves. Of course, if you're going for the experience lead, you do want to have the booster experience all the way up to 35% for a total of 50 SBUs. So that way you have a 40% booster experience once you take the enhancements, the leader skill, and the extra skill into account, making them the best experience lead in the game. The other kit I would like to talk about pretty much just allows Bjørn and Linlin to be a better function for hard content if you're using them as a lead. As again, Bjørn and Linlin do not have a whole lot that they provide in general, so it's nice to have some more options for them. One thing I do want to note is I do have listed the adding tri-stat boost for other elements. This is only useful if you're going into hard content with a non-Mono Earth squad, seeing as on their SPB they have tri-stat boost for Earth elements only. If you want, you can substitute this out for the rest of the kits that doesn't include the experience boost, just so that we have some other effects going on and you have more utility with their Brave Burst. I just added that in because I feel like some people might not have a full mono type squad for hard content. And as an additional option for this one, you can also go for enhancing the Super Brave Burst Gauge Boost effect for a grand total of 110 SP for both of these kits, actually, if you take both of the additional options. Otherwise, it's going to be 190 respectively. To wrap things up here, Bjørn and Linlin are primarily used as an experience lead, though if you really need a substitute lead for hard content, they can suffice with survivability from their UBB, pairing well with units who have revive, and getting Super Brave Burst off more reliably from their 30% Brave Burst gauge cost reduction from leader skill. On top of getting the overdrive gauge filled more quickly with a Super Brave Burst and Ultimate Brave Burst, allowing you to get more synergy shards more quickly, so you can DBB more often. And that about does it. If you guys have any more questions about Bjørn and Linlin, feel free to ask them in the comments down below. If you have any more questions about Brave Frontier in general, I'm gonna leave the link to my Discord server down in the description below. And one more thing I want to talk about really quick. I was asked to promote another Discord server, and I'm going to do that as well as promoting the thing that the Discord server is for, the Brave Compendium. The Brave Compendium is a resource for Brave Frontier players, new, returning, intermediate, and veteran players who need a little bit more help with the game. I'm wholeheartedly behind this entirely, so I do recommend giving that a check out. And I'm also planning on doing a video for the Brave Compendium by itself on this channel as well. And that does it, so I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!